Welcome back to S.J. Williams Homestead. Uh, Today I'm going to start a series on some survival gear techniques and stuff of that nature. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is knives. Uh, uh, Read and seen a lot of stuff on different things you need to carry. One of the best programs I've seen is Dave Canavery's 5 C's of survivability. The first of the C's we're going to talk about is cutting. So what he talks about in a cutting tool is one, uh, you want to have about a 5-inch blade. Preferably you want something full tang. This is a 3/4 tang, not quite a full tang. Nice little sheath. Um, Here I have the Gerber. Uh, and I use these two knives for two different things, so we'll talk about that as we go through them. The first one I want to talk about is this Gerber. Okay, this gets thrown in my bag, and it's basically the knife I use to beat on and abuse. So we'll talk about the knife first. As you can see, it has several different ways that you can attach it to your belt or your gear or whatever. I've done some modifications to it to make it more useful for me. And so here's the Gerber knife. I don't care a whole lot about the serrated edge. Keep telling myself that I'm going to reprofile this knife down to a complete smooth edge. Haven't really been worried that much about it. As you can see, this is a knife that I beat on, I'm rough on. It's good for what I use it for. And but the things you need to look at in a knife, if you're going to use it for survival camping purposes, is it needs to be beefy. As you can see, this has a good width on it. Good solid knife, feels heavy in your hand, feels comfortable to hold. Full tang, you can beat on this knife, abuse it, and it's going to take it. Dave Canterbury says he's seen a bunch of them break. I've abused the fire out of this knife, it hasn't broke on me yet. For the price and for what I'm going to use it for, this has worked really well for me. So what you need to look for is you need to get you a knife with a nice 90-degree spine, has nice sharp edges. This is going to be able to do a couple different things for you. First, it's going to throw sparks off your ferrocerium rod, which we'll get into later. It's also, you're going to be able to take that wood and you're going to be able to make fine shavings by using the spine of your knife and just kind of raking it down. As you can see, I'm getting some fine material off of there to lay into my bird's nest. Instead of using the sharp part of your blade and wasting it, you can use the spine of your knife to do that with. This one has a place cut into it that's made. So works really well for what I use it for. Mostly what I use this big beefy knife for is batoning wood. As you can see, something 3-4 inches in diameter, big enough for survival purposes to burn in fire. You can easily baton this, break down wood, not a problem there. They say you can use this end to drive in stakes and stuff into the ground. I haven't used it for that. It's just not enough of a handle there for me. I'm not going to risk tearing up my hands, do something like that. I'm going to take a stick of wood that I've cut, and I'm going to use it to drive in my post into the ground. I'm not going to use this little portion of the knife and risk tearing up my hands. As you can see, this has got several points where you can tie this to a stick, use it as a spear. I haven't used this for that. Haven't really found no need if you know how to set good traps. So this has been a really good knife to use, and that's what I use it for, is to beat on, baton, stuff like that. Do all my shaving down, my, rough work. Okay, so I keep this knife on my belt most of the time, and what I use this knife for is processing food and medical purposes. As you can see here, I have a cell needle taped to the back of my sheath to pick out splinters, pop blisters, stuff like that. I try to keep that as clean as possible. It's completely sealed in this tape, so nothing's getting to it. It's up against me. Then I try to keep my edge sharp on this knife. As you can tell, it has been used quite a bit. I have batoned this knife. I have driven sparks off this knife because it is a high carbon steel knife. That's nothing they recommend you look for, is a high carbon steel, so you can throw the sparks, drive sparks off with flint. I use that method. That's how I almost cut my thumb off. I don't recommend it. Carry a little piece of steel in your pocket that's not sharp and drive sparks off of it if you really want to do that. As you can see, this is a pretty thick, nice, beefy knife. I've filleted fish with it. I've cut up potatoes with it, done all kinds of cooking stuff. It's got a nice fine point on it there. You use to pop blisters, dig stuff out. So I use this for food processing and medical purpose only. I try to keep it fine for small work. If I have to do any fine work, I use this knife. It's very sharp, razor sharp. I can shave with this knife. As you can see, you know, this sheath holds it in pretty well. It just kind of locks into place. This is made to go on a buckle for like coveralls or something like that. You can snap that right onto the buckle. It just kind of holds it on there. Simple design, works great. I love both of these knives. And so that's what I carry. Both of them work great for the purpose of what I use them for, because I've made this knife sharp. I use olive oil to keep it clean and keep it from rusting. This one I beat on, you know, I do my rough work with this. And so they both work really well for what they're designed for. That's why I carry two different knives when I go on a survival situation. As they say, one is nine, two is one. I have two knives here, very capable of doing the job. I choose to use them for different applications. That way I don't have to keep as sharp of an edge on this knife as I do this knife. And this knife is always clean in case I need to pop it out for medical reasons. Nothing's gonna be sanitary in the woods. But after you stuck this one in trees and sap and mud and everywhere else, you're not gonna wanna try to dig out a splinter with it as much as you would a knife that's been cleaned and made to use on your food. You're also not going to get the resins and stuff like that on your food when you're processing down food. So I use these knives for two different reasons. A good beefy, cheap knife. I think this one was 30 bucks. This one was 15. More knives are great, they're cheap. The razor sharp, they stay that way. Good durable knife. This has been a good durable knife for me. Like I said, 30 bucks is a good beefy knife. Use it to process down wood, beat on, you know, do my dirty work with this knife. So if you have any questions about these knives or any other knives that's out there, I might be able to share a little information. I'm going to do some more videos on these knives and show you more about how they work and everything. I try to keep my videos shorter than 10 minutes for downloading purposes. Uploading them to YouTube takes some time when they're bigger files. Plus, that's what I like to watch. I like to watch quick videos that show me something real quick. I don't have to sit there for 30 minutes to get to it. So I'm pushing that 10-minute mark now. I will do future videos on these knives, and we'll get into more about how I use them and you know, knife safety and stuff like that. But these are the knives I use. They've been great. I've used them on several trips. I've been using this knife for about 2 years. I've been using this knife for a year. They've done a wonderful job. I've beat on them both. I've used them both, you know, past their real threshold, and they've worked wonderfully. So I hope that's helped you, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.